I call to order this regular meeting of the Zoning Code Update Citizen Advisory Committee for Thursday, February 5th, 2026. Could we have a roll call, please?
Alan Spence,
Here.
Joe Conk,
Here.
Carrie Snyder, Robert Prudhomme Bauer,
Here.
Craig Backus,
Here.
Virginia Smith, Laura Jones,
Here.
Selena Powell,
Here.
and Ray Selda.
Okay, since we have nobody from the public in attendance or online, we'll go on to next order of business, which is the minutes from the last meeting. Is there any discussion or does anybody have any questions on meetings from the last meeting, which was on January 29th? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a proposal?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the draft minutes from the commission meeting on January 29th, 2026.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it's approved. There's no new business this time, so we'll go on to discussion of Chapter 6.
All right. Thank you. Good evening. Chapter 6, you should have a completely crossed out chapter. That's one that we're just going to completely do away with and start fresh. So you should also have the fresh one in front of you. Hopefully you've had time to go through it. Some of the major things that we're doing is getting rid of planned unit development and planned area development as two different things. We're just going to call it planned area development. Really no logical reason to have both. So we are basically kind of expanding it. It does get longer, but I think that's necessary. And in certain cases, I think this is one. What we're looking at doing is, keeping the basis of it the same. Basically, a PAD, planned area development, is a rezone. So it's a rezone request that would go to the Planning Commission and Town Council. But with that, it needs to have a master development plan, which the previous code didn't necessarily call it that, but it did call it, I don't remember exactly where it's at, but you basically, the way I read it and the way I pictured it, you kind of just have a one-page conceptual, this is what we're doing. And I can tell you from experience, that doesn't work very well. So I think a master development plan is a good way to do it. It's how you see it in a lot of places. It basically becomes this book that guides that entire development, because the intent of a PAD is it doesn't follow strict zoning guidelines and development requirements. The applicant kind of sets their own. They come in and propose, hey, this is our master plan. This is what we want to do. These are going to be our setbacks, our landscaping, our streets, or everything like that. So at the staff levels, as long, we all work together like we do on all of them, we'll review it, make sure it works, make sure the circulation works. And the goal of it too is it has to be kind of a better product than what you see in just a standard subdivision. And that's not to discount a standard subdivision to say there's anything wrong with it, but this is supposed to be kind of if they're wanting these exceptions and they want to propose their own development standards, they need to kind of take that next step and say, okay, this is going to be what it is. And because of that, you don't see it's hard to apply the standard zoning district requirements, even accessory uses or accessory structures, or if it's a mixed use PAD, what types of uses can they put in there? You don't want to just leave it open-ended commercial that they can come in and do something that might be that might not fit with the neighboring residential properties. So it makes them specify what they're trying to do. It also identifies what a minor amendment is and a major amendment, meaning if they're going to make changes to what the original approval was, minor amendments will change at the staff level. They're pretty simple. Put some thresholds on there, if they want to say, okay, we originally approved 100 houses, we want to go up to 110 houses. Yeah, okay, no big deal. But if they want to go up to 150 houses or 200 houses, that's a little more of a big deal. We need to readdress that. So that's kind of how this is written. Hopefully you've had a chance to go through it. If not, we can kind of run page by page if you'd like. If you have any questions, concerns, just let me know what you prefer.
I have a broad question.
Okay.
or What I think is a broad question. In a case like this, do they have to show, say there's 10 acres they want to develop? Do they have to show everything they're going to do on that 10 acres if it's one planned area development versus having phases and saying, well, we think in this phase we'll do that. We think in that phase we'll do this. Do they have to show the whole thing?
Not necessarily. So, I mean, it does lend itself to be phased for phasing plans and that kind of stuff. What we would look for is they'll have an idea, obviously, what they want to do in the first phase. So they'll have to give us that. And it's really kind of up to them, the applicant. We leave it up to them. So if they do know, yeah, we're going to ask for it. And then it's all approved. It's all set. It's ready to go. Saves them time in the long run. If not, we'd put stipulations on it that say, okay, when you do get to this point, we need to see more details. So now you have to come back and kind of amend your master development plan to show us what those details look like.
And can somebody put a conditional use permit on top of a planned area development?
Yes, and that is something that we put in here is that the master development plan should identify any uses that would need a conditional use permit as well. So basically, the other way we look at it too is if they don't identify a use in there, we kind of use our judgment too, and as whatever that use might be, if it's not identified in there, we'll determine, okay, it's pretty intensive. We need to go back. That would trigger one of those amendments that we need to go back to the planning commission, town council, make sure that they're okay with it. I'd like to point out though, that we're going to have to be careful because a master development plan historically does have a lot of design elements in it. And now that we can't really control that at the council and planning commission level, the focus can't really be on that. So that'll kind of be, case by case as we get any of those kind of applications in.
One of the things I was thinking about when I was going over this, and I think it might be a little complicated, but is there a flow chart that we could maybe get that there's all these codes and and things come off of things. And I don't know if I'm thinking about it right, but I was just like, I feel like I wish I had a visual that made me know what we had gone through, what we've checked off, and and how something like a planned area development relates to, the conditional use. I don't know. I don't know if something like that exists. It may not.
Planned area developments go, kind of take what's there. You have zoning there, we know that. But they're saying, we don't want to go with the traditional,
Right. What it's zoned for.
well, not necessarily what it's zoned for, but sort of like the traditional, let's say if it's going to be a housing development, we don't want to do the subdivision process because we want to do maybe some clustering and more open space. And so we want to go through the planned area development. So it's taking kind of what's the underlying is there, but it's saying we don't want to use that way. We want to go this way.
Yes,
under these stipulations.
Yes, let me throw out though, just a quick correction on that. Even if it is a PAD, if they're going to subdivide, they still have to go through that process as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it doesn't eliminate that. The simplest way to put a PAD is it allows flexibility in the development standards. That's truly what it does.
Division.
It can be. I mean, you can have commercial PADs as well, but
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
usually you see subdivisions with PADs. You don't see a lot of commercial ones. But yeah, they'll still come in and they'll,
Mixed use, maybe?
yeah, if they're mixed use. Mountain Gate is a PAD.
Right.
So it's that kind of development.
I have a question about practically, how do, it's a lot of money to come up with these plans, right? So before somebody even starts, goes, spends thousands and thousands of dollars on planning, would they call you or sit down with you and just bounce and rough sketch or talk about what they have in mind and see if that's even possible?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If that's,
Yep.
I mean, okay.
That's our standard.
That's what normally happens?
Yeah, that's our standard process for just about anything that comes through the doors. We'll sit down with them, go over what their, thought process is. And sometimes, that will trigger like a PAD is if what they're trying to do doesn't fit what the underlying zoning, we can say, why don't you think about a PAD? Because then it allows you this flexibility to do these things and that thing and whatever they might
Okay.
want to try and do.
Right. I had specific questions on specific pages, or were you planning to just go through?
Well, it's up to the committee. We can go through it page by page, or if you have specific questions, anything you might want to see, like I said, this really just lays out the process of it
Mm.
and then what's at the minimum, what's required to be included in a master development plan for us to see and get approved.
What does everybody think? Do you want to go page by page, or do you want to just ask your specific questions?
You have questions, yeah.
You have questions. Go ahead, start your questions.
Okay.
Your questions, maybe that.
It might,
Because I didn't have a
might,
lot of notes on
it
it,
might
which I
spark
normally do.
some of our other,
Okay, on page 13 of 110, I'm using the numberings at the bottom of the page. You mentioned live, work, housing. What is your definition of live, work?
Which part of that page? are you talking about?
Towards the bottom under number 2. Yeah. It's right,
So it's kind of, it's almost mixed use, but it's kind of more like a home occupation type thing.
home, okay.
Yeah.
All right, gotcha.
So not quite commercial in nature, but somebody who might want to have their home occupation business out of their house.
Okay, gotcha. And then on page 14, under residential density, which is number 2, you say may be allocated by housing type, development area, or phase. Why do you use that sort of softer versus must? Right there.
Because we leave it up to the applicant to determine the total number of units that they think they can get in there. So by saying may, basically we want them to indicate how many single family homes are there going to be, how many duplexes might they put in, how many townhomes might they put in. I've seen them before where they've done single family homes and then one phase and one part of the area they were going to put some apartments too. So they basically will give us a total number, like let's say we want 700 dwelling units, but this many of them are going to be this type, this many of them are going to be this type, and so on. So
But do they have to do that, or is that something they may or may not have to do?
we want them to do it. I know it does say may, so that's going to encourage them to do it.
Okay.
We can look at changing that to shall. It's fine if we want to require that. Typically, they'll do that anyways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those wording issues.
And
It does say
along this line, can you help out with
I mean, I understand the MPD compared to the PAD, right? And so both of them are working and getting to the end means. And so could you elaborate a little on that so that everybody can,
With the master development plan and the PAD. So
because it is, there will be a master development plan for each and every PAD, right?
yes, so the PAD is the zoning. And then the master development plan basically acts as the zoning ordinance for that
Right.
PAD.
In other words, all these decisions are making of lot sizes to anything else that's required. It's all defined in that, on that
Correct.
plan.
Yep. That's all defined in the master development plan. And that master development plan is subject to, or basically not subject to, but has to be approved by the planning commission and town council.
Right.
And that's why we leave the development standards open, because obviously, it's going to be very hard for somebody to come in and just put 100 homes right on top of each other with no setbacks or anything like that. But I don't know that I've ever seen one where a developer didn't make it work. I mean, when they do this, they want to make it work. It's just for, various reasons, the underlying zoning isn't going to allow them to do what they want. So it's one of those mechanisms that allows flexibility.
Okay. And then I had on the next page, page 15 of 110, could you explain number 6 bonus provisions? I was a little confused about that. How that all works.
Yeah, so that one, we kind of put in there, that's a good one to discuss. So, if the town's looking for public amenities, like, do we want more parks? Which I know the answer to that right now is no.
Yeah. On more.
Do we want to see that? Do we want to see trail systems or anything like that? And it's kind of a give and take. Hey, we're willing to do this for the town, but can we throw a few more units into it?
Okay.
But could this provision also be a place where you negotiate maybe some of the thoughts we're discussing around, okay, we allow you more housing units, but we would like to have you have them meet our affordable housing goals.
Absolutely. And that is mentioned in here as well. It does say
Yeah.
it mentioned.
So-
I was going to ask you about that. Good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely. That's where that can apply.
great.
I mean, it says that there, right? I'm just articulating
Oh, yeah.
how it goes
Yep.
to the other discussion we've been having.
Absolutely.
And then my last question was on page 23 of 110. What's number 7, findings? What are findings?
So you'll see that in a lot of different sections of the zoning ordinance when something needs to be approved that doesn't fit what the standard zoning requirements. So we had this also with the conditional use permit that we just did. So basically the planning commission and town council finds that, yeah, this development is, superior in nature. It benefits the community, the town. It offers, whatever that might be, if there are amenities or affordability or something like that. It's basically, it is consistent with what the town wants overall. It's consistent with the general plan. And it's not going against those things. So
Okay.
that's
And
basically.
does
what
that come out from the mayor or from
No, that
So
basically.
town council.
town council?
That basically comes from, I know it doesn't mention the planning commission in here, but the planning commission makes that recommendation to council. And the reason it says just town council in here is because town council makes the final approval on it. And it's just that recommendation by the commission. So if the council finds that this, PAD development is a benefit to the town essentially, then, but if they start finding that, oh, wait, there's an issue here or there's an issue there, then this just kind of reaffirms that they should look at these things before they approve something that might not be good.
Okay, good. That's all I had. Okay. Anybody else?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say, I really like this. I think this is a huge opportunity for a couple of reasons. I mean, for me, it's like we're now getting to where we're looking at best use of land more than sometimes zoning, which is somewhat, I won't say arbitrary, but it's been there and might not always have been the best zoning to begin with. So it does allow us to have some discussion around all of that. It's a lot more negotiable. It has the opportunities to have a lot more public engagement in it because it goes through planning and town council where if you're, so is it getting around that public, we don't want the public involved sort of stuff? It actually brings it back. So I think that's a benefit. Really, and it gives a thoroughness of catching all the key components of a development where we can negotiate
Mhm.
and get what fits maybe better.
And a lot of times you'll see a development agreement with a PAD and master development
That
plan.
goes
So
with
that
it, yeah,
triggers
yeah.
that. So there's that give and take. in it.
Yeah, there's that give and take. So you have a development agreement that goes with it. And I just think it's great. It's thorough and we need to have one come forward so we can use it. I mean, I was used to the other one is the only one I ever did a PAD with, and that was Mountain Gate. And that was, many, many years ago. But even in that discussion, I remember the active community involvement in what was finally came out of planning commission and went to the council. And I liked that process because it was negotiated. Did we learn a lot of things? Yeah. I mean, you can look back 20 years now and say we would have done some things differently, but at the time it was something we hadn't really done in Clarkdale. And so I like the way this is set up where the other one seemed rather, well, you can have these choices of the number of units per acre, but this gives us flexibility to really look at the land, and that's what I really like. Thank you, staff.
Yes. And real quick, Craig, did you have any comments, questions on this?
No, it looks good to me. Quite the restart, but yeah, it looks good.
Okay, so anything else in chapter 6? If not, we'll move on to chapter 2.
Oh, you guys made that too easy. Thank you.
It's like, I'm
That's
just
not a-
gonna
that-
sit here and be quiet.
That's not a complaint. I was expecting longer discussion, but thank you.
Oh, no, I really like that it's here and put
I
together.
didn't
Thank
make
you.
one single comment. You know me, I'm inside everything, so
Well, maybe this discussion will be a little bit longer.
I have lots of comments.
I'm gonna let Clover take this one to kind of guide the discussion, but I will point out, so we gave you what was done previous. I believe you guys have seen it. If not, then that's fine. But then we also gave you, because I feel like there's a lot going on in the marked up one, we also gave you the clean one as it sits today. So it's a little bit easier to read what's in there. And I will throw out, there's going to be 2 definitions that we want to discuss when we get to that point. One being front yards and front yard setbacks, and the other being data centers. And from there, Clover can take it. And when we get to the data centers, I want to read off a definition that Phoenix just did back in July.
Right. So like Scott said, a lot of these changes were made prior to us, and so, really, the only things, like he said, we want to talk about was data centers and then front yard versus, front yard setback. So I don't know if you guys just kind of want to go over, again, if you want to go over definition by definition, or,
With the marked up version?
or if you just had specific questions, or if there were certain definitions maybe that were missing, that would make sense.
This was one of the early ones that we looked at, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
And we'll run through it again. Clover and I are going to run through it again and just verify that,
We will.
there's nothing we think is missing. So this probably won't be the last you see of it when we bring it back for you to take. When we bring it back for you to take action on it, there might be some that we included, but we'll let you know that in case there needs to be further discussion on it. But right now, we just want to go through what's there. Do you have any major input or any additional comments on what's already been marked up?
I'm trying to remember, but somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but we went through this and it was rather an arduous little discussion because we were combining things and,
This,
I do have some questions,
but I think go ahead.
starting with in the A's, so. So under the accessory dwelling unit, and this may not be where it is, but when I saw do we need to add complete plumbing fixtures is a question there. And so I'm sorry, everybody, I'm on page 66 of 110.
At the 66 at the bottom.
Of 110, yeah, the bottom number is 66 of 110.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. This came up yesterday, Scott, in our conversation about accessory dwelling units, and do they each get their own sewer hookup, or are they hooked up to the same sewer? And does this get mentioned here, or does that get mentioned somewhere else if that's the case?
so that really wouldn't,
I don't think it would be
It-
here.
it can-
It just made me think of it.
it can kind of go either way. So I know there's mention of it in chapter 4, general provisions, which we're going to see at the
Okay.
next meeting.
Uh-huh.
And usually that's where you're going to see that kind of information is in there, not necessarily in the definition.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to say them. Oh, and then under agriculture and culture, agricultural use on page 67. When a practice of growing soil crops, and then livestock. Do we have an animal count here? Like, so like,
Like you mean number of chickens or?
hypothetical property that had 45 ducks, chickens, and emus on it. They have a license. Okay, so I just didn't know, because part of this comes from just following what was happening in Camp Verde around the animal count. So it just made me wonder, do we have an animal count?
So that kind of provision would be in one of two places. That would either be in general provisions, chapter 4, or it would be in the zoning district that allows that type of animal
type
to
of
be
animal.
kept.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where those specifics would come in.
And then on page, should I just go through mine and then we can come back? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
Could you do me a favor and do the page on the top, though?
Oh,
Because our
yes.
copies aren't from the
They're-
packets.
yeah,
Yes,
they're-
Thank you.
Page 3 of 45, chapter 2 definitions, which is, this also comes from our neighboring community going through something right now. We have airport in here versus an airstrip. I believe those definitions are two different things. And I don't know if they're
Right.
really two different things, but I hear lots.
Oh, I think
discuss-
they are. Because an airstrip, I don't think has to be a place where cargo can be stored or
be
refueled.
refueled or
Yeah, I
anything.
think
It's
it can just be an
Yeah,
airstrip.
so can we add airstrip in? Okay. I pay a lot of attention to what's happening to our neighbors. I'm trying to be preemptive. Page 4 of 45, bed and breakfast. An owner occupied residence that has a minimum of 2 or more rooms intended to overnight stay occupancy. I was wondering why it went from 1 to 2, because I actually know somebody here who had a bed and breakfast and they only had 1 room. So that was just a question.
Honestly, I don't know that that's a question that either Clover or I could answer
You
because,
guys didn't
yeah,
make it, you didn't. make
yeah.
a
So if
Think about it, I don't.
yeah, we can look into that
Yeah,
again.
to see if there may be a legal definition of a bed and breakfast that's more than 1, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
But I just know somebody here who had one, that's why. And then under brewery, my question was, does Smeltertown brew that much beer, 280 barrels a week?
No, I wish.
Oh, come on.
We do about 7 to or maybe 14 on a good week.
I was going to say,
It says produce at least 15,000 or more barrels per year. And
Yeah.
so I don't know where that number came from, that 15,000 barrels a year, whether that's again, a legal term from somewhere else. But Craig, I knew you were very successful. I didn't think you were doing quite, I did the math. I was like, oh no.
Not there
I
yet.
think Laura brings a great point up.
Yeah, we'll check that one out too.
Scale on that.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
there's-
I don't know
There's
if
some
there's a
definite-
legal definition for that. I don't know.
There's some definitions that go from microbrewery to brewery. So it's
Oh,
steps,
okay. So maybe
it steps
microbrewery-
differently with how much your production is.
Okay, so
I
maybe
think
there is
it's
a
up to-
microbrewery term and then a brewery term.
There you go. I think that's maybe where that.
And if there is that difference, we can add the definition
Yeah.
for both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I
Yeah.
just didn't think, I know everybody in town tries to drink as much beer as they can, but I don't think
We are a
Yeah,
microbrewery.
we don't have microbrewery identified in here, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we?
Yeah, we can get those differences and look at them and put them in there. But I heard that you wanted Craig to bring some of that
For the next-
14 per week to our very last meeting so we could celebrate, right?
To the last meeting, you got
You got to wait till the very last meeting.
it. Okay.
See it?
Um,
I don't see it.
and there's some yellow text in Clover. I know this. you
Darian, I
didn't do
don't
this,
see it.
But there's some yellow text that's highlighted in pink and I can't read it. I don't know if anybody else. Page, it's through the whole document a little bit. Page 6 of 45. I think it says building front,
Okay.
but because it's yellow text and highlighted over in pink, it's almost impossible to read.
We
Okay.
can't read that.
So weird.
Yeah, we'll get that
I
corrected.
think you did that. I think somebody else probably.
Well, it doesn't look that way on her copy.
It's on the screen.
Okay.
It's on
Oh,
the
it looks that way on this too.
Oh, it's on that
Weird.
too?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't read it on there either?
No.
Yeah.
So what is that?
Building front, siding.
Building front? Okay.
Other comment? Yeah, there's another one, daycare home and dedication.
Yeah, we've got a couple of those where that happened.
See the end of my, oh no, here. The question on page 14 of 45, the question was dwelling triplex, a building containing 3 dwellings, and it said, should we leave this in? And I thought, why not? I don't like. I couldn't think of a reason not to leave it in.
Yeah.
It just adds another option of the type of dwelling units that people can.
Yeah, I think it's important that we keep that one in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I think because weren't we taking these from different parts and kind of putting them all together because
Maybe,
they
yeah, I
were
didn't
spread
think-
across? So making sure we have it all together, we didn't see this after we had talked about that. I don't think that's what it.
Okay, yeah, we'll include that one, especially because of the new requirement that after, by next January 1st, we have to have pre-approved plans for triplexes, duplexes and
Exactly.
triplexes. So I think it's important that
as
we
well.
keep a definition in there.
That whole area of dwelling units probably needs to be re-looked at.
Yeah, we'll
make
do that.
sure it's-
Yep.
Reflective
And,
of.
and like I said, we'll bring you a final version with all of these. I just wanted to bring this to you again to make sure that, we find anything where the conversation got cut off and you didn't continue it. We can do so now.
Yeah, so
Every time
I
look
have
at
a
it, you see
couple.
Something else. Go ahead, Joe.
items, okay.
I think I'm done.
On the as-built, which is, you're
Page-
going by page on top, that's page number 1, as-built, and
On which page, Joe?
1.
Number 1.
Does the as-built, do you think that we should be including underground utilities as well within that?
Page 4
It's page 1,
on the top.
as-built plan.
These.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that could be beneficial to make sure that that's in there.
maybe. I
Underground
made my
utilities.
notes on the
Page 4.
older one. Yeah, no, I have that whole thing here.
Right here.
So sorry about that.
It's the old one.
It's 4 of
Page
445.
Construction in place, yeah.
Anyway, that,
Right here.
if you think that ought to be included with that or not, it might be
Yeah, we can play with the language to basically be anything that was improved on the site.
right.
I think that's important.
Yeah, that would take care of it. Under floor area, which I'd be on a different page, but if you guys can go to where F is. And this is a little tedious, but to me, when we're looking at the square footage of the building, it should be from the exterior face versus the interior face. And where it's not defined, and I get a little anal on some of this, but you guys could say yes or no to that.
Yeah, because when, like, the county came and measured my house to see what my square footage is when I put an addition on, they measured the exterior. wall.
Right, exactly.
They didn't measure the interior walls?
No, but it doesn't really.
I would
Say
suggest we
specifically.
add that. I mean, that.
Yeah.
That could.
And the last one I had was under outdoor storage. It talks about, what goods could be outside or a duration of time of 24 hours. Well, if you got a Tractor Supply, they got a whole lot of stuff behind a fence that is not, it's stored outside. So I was trying to figure out how this works.
So I would say if you go right above that to outdoor sales, that's
Okay,
gonna be the
versus-
difference of it. Yeah, it's, like the stuff at Tractor Supplies out there for sale versus just being stored out there.
Right.
Kind of unsightly, which, you'll see people doing. And so I think that's where that difference is, the
Yeah.
outdoor sales versus outdoor storage.
Would it also be considered if you just had a wall or a non-see-through fence that goes around it, or is that just not necessary?
Yeah, because the language in there with unenclosed basically is what that definition is referring to. So once you have it enclosed, then it doesn't fall under the outdoor storage definition.
Okay,
the way
yeah,
it's
you
written
are
in
right.
there.
It does say unclosed. Okay, that does it for me.
I have a general question just on easements. Who creates those?
A variety of people. It really just depends on who needs the easement, what they need it for, and who they're working with. So a lot of times private parties will do that if they're trying to get access through a lot or something, or if it's a utility easement, it's kind of just dependent on who's driving to get that easement created. They're usually go to a surveyor or an engineer to get that drawn up.
Any other questions from anybody? Okay,
Shall we discuss the front yard setback then?
Yes.
the data center you said?
Yes. We'll start with the front yard setback. So what we've noticed with that, which where did we say it's at?
What page?
Yard, right? It's under Y?
For
Where did we
yard.
say it? It's under Y for yard.
For yard. Okay.
So ironically, we've had two occasions of this recently. In fact, council's going to hear one of them next week as the Board of Adjustment. Well, the way this definition is written is the front yard is the open area extending the full width of the lot or parcel between the front lot line and any building. Now, we also have front setbacks, and you'll see, like, let's pick, single family residential zoning district, let's say it has a 20-foot front yard setback. That means you cannot build anything inside that or closer to the front lot line than that 20 feet. Problem becomes the front yard is different than the front yard setback. So let's say you have a house that you have your required front yard setback is 20 feet, but you're 100 feet back. Now you have 80 feet that is the front yard. You can't, the way the zoning ordinance is written now, you can't do anything in front of it. So I think it needs to be looked at because it can be good and bad if we make this change. But the example that we're running into and that we just had come through is there's a property that has a lot of topography. And then one of the examples is it's almost 500 feet back from the front yard, the house is. And they want to put up what is it they want to do? It's a carport. No, that's the other. So one of them wants to put up a carport, but they're not quite 500 feet, but they are a couple hundred feet. But because they can't put anything in the front, it has to get a variance, go to the Board of Adjustment. Now, if we make the change to say you can't put anything in the front yard setback, if they're 500 feet back and their setback is 20 feet, they can still put something in front of their house without having to get any special approvals. They just can't encroach on that 20-foot setback. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, do we want to keep it as it is? I wouldn't say this is necessarily a frequent problem. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been here long enough, but in the short time I'm here, we've already seen it twice. So, it does still keep people from building in their front yard setback, which, means that places that have that 20 feet, if they're at that 20-foot setback, they can't put anything in front. But if you're a couple hundred feet back, just by the nature of your property, and it, otherwise isn't going to affect anything, they're restricted from doing the same thing. So, thoughts?
For sure. My side, I say yes, we definitely make it where it's the front yard setback and not the front of the house. It shot me in the foot just on the spec home that I'm building right now. Because we had a detached structure on a cul-de-sac, which was very challenging to figure out which one is actually the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to build a detached garage, kind of out in front of the house in a way, but it really wasn't because of the cul-de-sac situation. If the ruling would have been front yard setback, it wouldn't have been any problem at all. But since I had to have it behind the house based on that ruling, I basically had to build the garage off the side of the hill. It would have been better to have this new ruling or definition front yard setback.
Yeah, I agree. I believe that person that owns the property should be able to build inside the setbacks. It should be that simple.
Right.
Is there a restriction on the size of a second building? So say you have your house, your 2,500 square foot house, and you have this several hundred feet from the setback. And in theory, I'm totally with you. I feel like you should be able to build in that envelope. But can somebody then put a 3,000 square foot garage in front of their 2,500 square foot house?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, that's where I go, like, you know,
So that could
But
be
I'm-
addressed though in chapter 4, when we get to general provisions and you start talking about accessory structures. So a detached garage basically becomes an accessory structure, and that's where you can limit that size. And
okay.
it's common to see that in a lot of zoning ordinances. Detached accessory structures are different than accessory dwelling units. So there is that difference. You could also, I've seen it where even though you restrict it just to the front yard setback, and let's say we have, the example that I just gave, you can still restrict what accessory structures can go in front of the house. So, I mean, if that's the desire of ultimately the council, when we get to that point, you can say, okay, well, yeah, you can build certain things in front of the house, but this type of thing we still want behind the house or on the side of the house. That's
Portion thing for me.
yeah.
Like, you have a single level 2,500 square foot house, and then somebody puts in front of it a 2-story mega, RV garage for their class 1 RV. And their house is just dwarfed behind, the house is now behind like the giant garage, like.
Yeah, and that's where we can chapter 4, when we see that
Work. No.
next meeting, we can address it in there.
This is, I shouldn't even be talking about this in
This is
break,
not in front of your house.
but it could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been, and it's just off to the side.
Yeah.
So it dwarfs my house.
Oh, it does. Yes. No.
I'm not saying it's not. This is a 4,000 square foot garage, okay?
Very fancy garage.
But it could have been because we would have fit that front yard. We could have moved it in front of our house easily. But aesthetically, I wouldn't have done it. I have a little issue with some of that. And I think it's kind of
Yeah, I didn't-
where the location is. So I think if we restrict too much, then are we really saying, well, you can do it, but, sorry, you can't use all of your property the way you want to within the setback area, inside the setbacks. That's a little bit of what I'm struggling with, because sometimes it might be better than what the other house looks like too.
Burn dominium. I don't know, Craig, do you have any insight on that thought from the builder's perspective?
I agree with Rob, and you get into the larger lots, and those tend to be a lot easier to build out in front of the structure of the house, the primary dwelling unit, out in front of it, because like this situation that I had was 2-acre parcel. The other one is they're bigger lots. You get into the smaller ones or the main street divisions, that becomes another animal. So it's hard to define between the differences, but I think that's addressed other places. This is more of just a definition we're trying to establish here. What is front yard setback or front yard?
But no, I would agree. I think it's crazy to say to somebody you can't build in that 100 feet or 200 feet. That seems crazy.
And it becomes kind of subjective. Is the house going to be better looking? Is it better to look at the house or the thing? That becomes very subjective. So I'm very cautious of that.
Yeah, and a lot of it just has to do with the homeowner and what their expectations are. Because, ideally, you could say, oh, you can almost put a design review slapped on them make it look nice, make it blend. You won't even know it's a difference between a garage or not a garage. Because it could be courtyard, you could drive inside, the big doors are on the other side, not even seeing the street. There's all kinds of ways to design it, but we can't control that.
And we shouldn't control that. I'm not a big one into controlling that kind of stuff in residential areas. I
Hmm.
might say differently over in commercial and industrial, but not in.
No.
Yeah.
I have a question.
I-
If you have an internal lot and there's you're coming in by way of an easement to it, into your driveway's going to the side of the house, what is the front yard?
So
Flag lot.
that is actually another thing I wanted to bring up when we got done with deciding
Oh, okay.
the front yard. I was actually just flipping through the front lot line, front yard. So the front lot line is defined right now as the property line dividing a lot from a public or private street from which the required front setback is measured. So basically it's where the street is in front of the lot becomes the front lot line. It can get really complicated and really confusing on some odd shaped lots, and especially in, similar situation that you just described. I think a lot of people look at the front as whichever way their front door is facing. It's not it's kind of one of those myths, I guess you could say. That's never a definition of the front, is never where your front door is. A little bit stronger one that some places use is the address, whatever street you're addressed off of is your front.
Yeah, but
And then I've also seen it where the shortest lot line is your front.
Because on a flag lot, right, you'd come in and say, even if your property was a square, I would think the front would be whatever
Where
this is your street.
that flag
That-
lot
even
line
if
is
you
coming
put the
in.
House this
Yeah.
way on the lot.
Yeah,
This is still
correct.
because it's where the street is.
Correct.
where you
if
connect
that's
to the
your
street.
address, if that's
Yeah.
for your address, I think that makes more sense.
So
It's-
I'd like to play with that definition too, just to make it more clear what is the
Okay.
front. I think
Okay.
that'd be nice to clean that one up.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, just that you're gonna look at it because
Yeah, because it can
like
get
the new
confusing.
going behind us, they're going to the easement from the street, it's the shorter side of the house and the front doors, I assume it's gonna be looking towards Sedona with the view and everything.
Right, so their front would not be where their front door is if it's
On-
shifted like that.
Oh, okay.
On page 21. Is that the right, is that the right, what I'm supposed to be saying? Yeah. There's under lot, there's a image there. It shows like a flag lot, and
Oh, yeah, this
You know,
right here.
so to me, like that flag lot, the front of that lot would be where the street that the flagpole comes down. On the through lot, I don't know what you do.
So you're saying on the flag lot, what are you saying the front would be?
Be out
Where
here.
the
It could be
flagpole
out
comes
here,
down.
most likely out here.
Streets don't have names, so you see there's an interior lot and then above it, there's the flag lot. So the
Yeah.
flag lot goes up and then it's that rectangle in the middle. So I would think the front would be
The-
street that
Yes,
that you access the property from.
yes,
That would be.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the front,
And that's where the address would be.
right?
Right.
Yeah, and I think I would want to clean up the definition to make sure that that's clear.
Okay.
So that we're not running into, I mean, it may not ever be 100% perfect because there's some crazy lots out there. But I think this will help more cases than not. So,
Thank you.
and then, so what's the consensus on the front yard? Everybody's good with changing that to be the setback?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gonna go home and measure my front yard.
All right, data centers.
Or we don't have a definition yet?
We don't. So, and I didn't get a chance to print it, so I'm gonna have to read it off my phone. There's two that I came up, well, that I found. We can keep it, standard. It's basically a facility or portion of a building primarily used to house networked computer systems, servers, and telecommunications equipment for the remote storage, processing, and distribution of data. These facilities often include associated infrastructure like backup power generators, cooling systems, and substations. So that's a pretty standard one. The one that Phoenix did is, theirs is pretty long. A facility used primarily for data services, including the storage, processing, management, and transmission of digital data. A facility shall not be considered a data center if it does not exceed 25% of the gross floor area of all on-site buildings, and the facility cannot exceed a maximum of 450,000 square feet in total.
That's a lot of square feet.
You're right. Right. So again, this is Phoenix though, so keep that in mind. But
First one, the second one makes me.
well, and this is just what they have. We can, make this to what we want and what it looks like. This is the one they did in July. Yeah.
Why would the square footage just matter what the definition is of a data center?
I think the way they looked at it is because what's happening now is you have some mixed use facilities, mixed use buildings. And so you got an operation over here and then data center comes in over here and they're just trying to say, okay, if you exceed this much of this part of the building, then you're a data center and now you have to meet all these requirements.
So you can have a server and all these data hosting abilities, but not be a data center if you're only
If-
200,000, whatever.
Well, it's not necessarily the 450,000. It's saying it cannot exceed a maximum of that regardless of the situation. But before that, they use a percent basis, which is 25%. So if your server stuff takes up 25% or more of your building, you're a data center. Takes up less than that, then you're not.
I mean, this is dealing with the situation of data centers doing less than 25% of the building, and then they've had no say over it. Is what's.
Yeah,
happening.
or having 50% of a building and having no say over.
Right. And again, that's just what Phoenix did. They put that percentage. We don't have to do that. We can just outright say any facility that does blah, 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 blah is a data center. I think we need to be a little bit careful with that though, so we don't inadvertently restrict somebody who might otherwise not be a data center than, like hosting servers or something like that. If they come in and want to open an IT company or something and we don't, unless we do. I mean, that's, something to think about and look at.
I understand data centers emit a real high frequency sound or something that's not like noise pollution, basically. How could we prevent that?
So that kind of stuff would go with chapter 4. When you talk about, I think there's a section in there called performance standards, and that's where you start talking about noise and dust and those kinds of things that you really shouldn't let go past your property line. So if you come in and it goes past your property line and now you're affecting your neighbor, then that's an issue. And you'll see that kind of stuff usually fits within general provisions because it applies to everybody as a whole. And I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, kind of regarding the marijuana stuff where, you're not supposed to be able to smell it off the property. You can, but you're not supposed to.
Okay. Well, it'd be good to know exactly what they what happens and, so that so some's not built and then, it happens, it affects the neighborhood and it's already built.
Yeah,
And it's-
so we are going to address data centers in chapter 4 as well, because there'll be a conditional use permit. So we'll have a lot of what that might look like and have that discussion in that point. This one will be just for the definition to define what a data center is. So that conversation is coming.
Okay, and it'd be based more than just decibels, noise level, right? Okay.
Yeah, because, and I mean, that's why we're going to have really have some discussion, because it's not just noise level, it's understanding they operate 24/7.
Right.
So that noise level is all the time. It's not like it goes away. Because they're in operation all the time. So things like that are going to be very critical. Lighting, landscaping, outdoor, power generation.
Water use.
Also,
Yep.
yeah.
Water
It's
use.
just, yeah, I
I
just
mean,
watched that.
in water, do we say we don't want anything that is in a closed system data center, which is water they have to reuse inside? It's, those are the kind of things we're going to have to talk about.
Well, I wasn't aware of it, and I watched a Blacklist episode, and this guy was living near one, and just made him go berserk and became a serial killer. So because of
The sound.
the high frequency,
Yeah.
drove him nuts.
Great.
So,
And it sounds, oh God, who'd want to put a data center here, right? There's a part of me that's like, and then you realize Page just sold off 500 acres of property to build the data center.
Right.
And Page is certainly a lot more remote than we are, so
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Reality.
No,
we
it's
have
a
to be prepared.
reality. It's a reality and Page, that is happening in Page, but I know another community is looking at, they actually really want a data center because it's job creation and stuff, not huge, mind you. Those are, it's job creation in the front end when you're building it and
that's
our
it,
revenues,
yes.
but the operation itself might have very few employees needed for.
But what's
But they-
the tax that it could bring in?
It
The
can,
data center?
it depends. I mean, there's a community,
Tax, but I don't know. if that's-
well, property tax and they play, but they also get huge incentives. And
But you
and
lose-
Phoenix will tell you they don't need any of them, but, there's a community, I believe it's Buckeye, because they were in the paper, but I knew this ahead of time. They're courting data centers. They have a whole corridor of their city. They want data center because it's bringing not just the construction sales tax and all the front end, but it's ongoing property tax that they're paying and it's huge. It's been a huge financial boom to them.
sure.
Now, I'm not saying that's what we do, but it's not an either or but we have to say what's going to fit for us. What kind of constraints do we want to put? Because it could happen here.
Anything else on chapter 2?
No, that was all.
Anybody else have any? Okay.
I think we'd like that first definition right now of.
Yeah,
data
it sounds like the
Okay.
first definition that you read.
Okay,
For-
we'll throw that in there and
And then we'll
Yeah.
debate, we'll think about it.
so we'll throw that in there. We'll make these other changes. We'll bring chapter 2 back next meeting. Man, we could put it on for action if you want, or we can just put it on for discussion again. We can still discuss it even if it's on for action. We'll bring chapter 6 back for action. We'll bring chapter 12 back for action. We'll bring back the prohibited plant list. There's gonna be a lot. We only have a couple of meetings
Okay,
left.
chapters 2, 6, 12, and
And the
Plant-
prohibited plant list, and was that it?
Is that it?
If there's any others that we need action on, we'll put those on there. And then We're going to go over either chapter 3 or 4 next meeting. I don't know 100% which one yet. Whichever one we don't do next meeting, we'll do the week meeting after.
Are we getting down to the end?
We are getting down to the end. We are. We are. So
And
Hey,
go ahead.
just a friendly reminder that our next meeting is on a Wednesday. It's on the 18th, not the 19th of February, because this room was
Booked.
occupied. So
We'll send out that meeting invite
we might.
if you don't already have
update
it.
the Invite, yeah.
we have a special council meeting.
On the 19th.
Yeah. the
Yeah,
meeting.
Yeah, CDBG.
So
So it's, oh, yes.
So it's going to be Wednesday, the 18th.
Wednesday, the 18th at 4:30.
Yep.
So.
It's already showing up here.
Okay,
Oh,
good. You guys already
Okay.
have it.
I think we
Perfect.
changed
take
it,
that.
but I just
Yeah, it's
wanted
been changed a
to,
while.
friendly reminder.
And those on the zoning board, the next meeting's the 17th, I think. Okay. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Always good. I never get the wording right. I say we shall adjourn.
Here a second.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
I.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. We're adjourned.